Hi friends, today we are doing everything elderberry. So I went outside today. It's mild, it's like 50. We did have lots of snow and ice this week, so the ice is melting, but I decided that I was going to harvest and cut some of the elderberry. And what I do every year is I cut this and then I root it and then I give them away to people. But because I'm going to be doing workshops this year in Port Jeff, we decided that I would use these so people can learn how to make their own elderberry. So what you do is you want to cut it when it's still dormant. There's a little bit of a glare from the sun, but so some of mine had already sprouted, as you had seen on other past videos. So this is some new growth here, right? So we know it's alive. So this top, there is no new growth, so there's nothing coming out of that. But I like to do it and cut it. So here's our new growth up here. Then we've got some new growth here. I'm like, why can't this show me? And so we're going to cut right above the new growth. And the trick when you're doing this outside is to make diagonal cuts. So so new growth is here. New growth is down there. So you know which one is the top and which one is the bottom. I'm using a pint mason jar because it's not too deep and it has a wide mouth, so it makes it a bit easier. So you can see like some of these are growing kind of wonky, and that's why I also cut them, because I don't want wonky branches in the walkways. So I'm just, and if it's alive because inside is green. And if it wasn't, like if I cut this, inside is brown, right? And it's just going to crumble. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to do this. The other thing that we're going to do today, because today is all about elderberry, is we're going to make up these half-pint elderberry syrup jars. What's great about this is, one, it's like pre-packaged, and I made up tags so that people just follow the instructions. They pour this in to a pot, 3.5 cups filtered water, right? We bring it to a simmer. We simmer it for 45 minutes uncovered. Then we allow it to cool a bit so we can strain it. So you want to strain out the solids. You want to mash the elderberry to get the most juice out of it. And then you would strain out the cinnamon stick, the ginger, and the cloves. But you can also add so many other things to this. This is a great base of a standard elderberry syrup recipe, but you could also add astragalus root. You could add rose hips for more vitamin C. You could add elderflower, which would make it taste really good too. You could add so many different herbal components to it. And the great thing about this is that you can also make this into a tincture. So we could just have, rather than adding honey once it's cooled to the juice that's made from this being simmered for 45 minutes, is instead you could do this as a tincture. You could add this to a quart jar, right? Let's pretend this quart jar is empty. And you would add this to the quart jar, and if you didn't want to use alcohol, you could use apple cider vinegar. You would stick it in the cool, dark place of your kitchen so you can be mindful of where it is, keep track of how long it sits there for, and then in 6 to 8 weeks, you can again strain out all the properties of what is left, the solids. You would strain them out, and then the liquid that you have left is filled with medicine. So what happens is when you cook it, the medicine is in the water, right? And in a tincture, the medicine, the alcohol or the apple cider vinegar pulls the medicine out of the plants. So it's dual purpose. You could do whatever one you want. We're doing syrup kits because that was what the store owner requested. But when I do the workshop, I am going to tell people, listen, if you don't want to make the syrup, go home, add vodka, add brandy, add rum. I like to use vodka. I use potato vodka. You could just add apple cider vinegar, whatever your fancy is, right? So if you have kids and you want the syrup, do the syrup. If you have adults and you don't want to do the syrup, don't do the syrup. But that's what I like about herbs, is it's so, you could really make it to be aligned with what your need is for, right? So if you have people that don't drink alcohol in the house, you don't need to use alcohol. If you don't want a sweet syrup, you could just make it with apple cider vinegar. So if you do a tincture with apple cider vinegar, it's not going to last as long as a tincture with alcohol. So a tincture with alcohol has a shelf life of 10 years. But a tincture with apple cider vinegar really should be kept in the fridge and probably has a shelf life of about a year. But if you make elderberry syrup, again, you would keep it in the fridge, and the shelf life is about, the honey is what actually keeps it from going bad. So the shelf life is probably like 3 to 6 months for elderberry syrup. But again, once you know how to make one type of syrup, then you could make so many other types, right? So the sky's the limit. And that's what's so versatile about plant medicine. It's not a pill for an ill allopathic approach like standard Western medicine. It is, what is it that your body needs? What is the unique experience that you have that you're looking for the plants to support you in? Because that's what the plants do. They support us. They help us to heal because the body recognizes plants. The body does not recognize pharmaceuticals. The body does not recognize over-the-counter drugs. The body recognizes plants. So the body is going to recognize the elderberry. It's going to recognize the ginger. It's going to recognize the clove. It's going to recognize the cinnamon. It's going to recognize, because it's all comes from the earth. And the earth holds all of the healing. And once you can tap in to what the earth has for you and find a way to work with it and work with your body rather than against it, that's it. You've uncovered the path to healing, right? So it's not as simple as, well, it is as simple as that, but it's not as easy as that, right? So this is what's really important, is that you understand what your body needs. And again, simple in theory doesn't mean it's easy, because sometimes the body's messages sound like they're in a foreign language. And so it's really important for you to understand exactly what your body is trying to tell you. And your body communicates to you through symptoms. It communicates to you through pain. It communicates to you what is working and what isn't. What food you're eating that it's not happy with. What injuries are still an issue, right? Like the inflammation that you have. The areas that you go that you don't feel well. Like today I went to my parents' house and I could tell that something happened with the lines over there with the smart meters, because they have a smart meter on their house. They did not opt out like we did. And immediately, as soon as I went in, I was like, what is going on here? I could feel it. I could feel that something was not good for my body in that environment. So I got out of there. I did what I had to do, and I was like, see you later. Because I do not spend time there, because my body is sensitive, and it tells me this is not a good environment for us to be in. You need to leave here. And that's what I did. Now, this does not mean that this will always be the case, but this is what it is for right now. And because I'm choosing to work with my body rather than against it, I'm going to honor those messages, and I'm going to do what it needs me to do to support it. I'm going to do a little bit more breath work today. I'm going to take a break after doing this video and making these up, because that's what my body needs. So you see we've got a whole bunch here. So I maybe trimmed 10 branches off my elderberry. And this is only from one bush, 10 branches, and I probably have 30 cuttings. Now these all aren't gonna live. I know that. It's not all gonna live, but this is how you propagate free plants, right? It's like, you just do and use what you have. Use the skills that you have, develop new skills, and live back to basics in alignment with Mother Earth. That's what she wants for you. That's what she's trying to tell you to do. And when we don't choose to listen to that, we cause more disconnection within ourselves, within our body, and within ourselves as a community, right? So we need to live in community. We need to rely on each other. We need to live in this one body. This is all you've got for this life. So if you don't take care of it, that's it. What are you going to do, right? So thank you for joining me today as we talked about elderberry. I hope that you got some great ideas, and I'll see you on the next video.